contract. This is usually called an aptitude test. Maybe you've heard of it as a general intelligence test. And employers compare the results to other employees in the company. Advantages, it's a valid predictor of job performance. You can do paper or computer administration. It's very cost effective. It doesn't require any skill to administer it, and it's not influenced by the test taker attempts to make false answers. Another one, disadvantages to this, it's more likely to differ in results based on gender or race, age, educational experience. It can be expensive, it can be time consuming, and it can't really be performed in a natural setting, usually, like an office. It would have to be taken elsewhere. Another type of test is an integrity test. It assesses the attitudes, experiences related to a person's honesty, their trustworthiness, reliability in the company, their social behavior. Lack of integrity is usually associated with company theft, or it could be sabotage, absenteeism, things like this. For example, someone may take a long break on purpose. An integrity test advantages, it can reduce business costs. It sends a message to the test taker. It's less likely to differ in results among gender and race. It also can be paper or computerized. It's cost effective. People are less likely to be absent if they take this test. Disadvantages, there is the positive image versus your actual image. People can lie and say what they would want their employer to think. Another example would be you could possibly not like the questions. You might think they're intrusive, offensive to you, if they're too personal. Another type is the interview. This is the most common. It's used to assess things such as your interpersonal skills, communication skills, teamwork. It can be used to assess your job knowledge. Certain things that are advantages of the interview, it's very widely accepted. It assesses your oral communication skills. It identifies individuals that are perfect for hiring, for promotion, who possess the skills to promote. It's not biased for gender or race. Usually your answers are they're different depending on the person. You can't really have a bias here. Disadvantages of the interview. Results may be affected by the interviewers if they record them differently than they were actually responding to. It could be time consuming. It could be less useful if you have a lot of applicants. You can't necessarily go through that many interviews with that many people. It could be costly. There's standardization issues. There could be a bias among the interviewer if they like the person better. There's a job knowledge test. This uses multiple choice questions or essay type to evaluate your technical or professional experience required for a job. This is usually called an achievement or a mastery test, and it's specific knowledge areas that are being tested within a company. Certain advantages of these, it can reduce business costs. It's less likely to differ with gender and race. It's most likely viewed positively by the test takers. It's not influenced by their attempts to impression or make fake responses. It's good for training and development, and it can identify individuals that are best for hiring and promotion as well. Disadvantages with this is it could require frequent updates. It may be an inappropriate indicator of knowledge. It could be costly, and it could be time consuming because there's a lot of steps to this type of test. So it would take more time than possibly an interview or a cognitive ability test. Another one is the personality test. This measures your personality traits in the workplace, your openness to new experiences, optimism, agreeableness, stress tolerance, certain things like this. Some of the advantages are that it can reduce your business costs. It's less likely to differ in gender and race. You can give it to a large number of people at once. It's very cost effective. You can take it on a computer, you can issue it old-fashioned on paper, and it doesn't require skilled administrators to judge the answers because they're very multiple choice. And this also identifies individuals for hiring, promotions. Disadvantage, people might unlike some of the questions that they're too intrusive, and it could be not job related, certain personality questions that don't pertain to that particular job. And it could also be costly. It can range $100 to $5,000 depending on the company and the certain personality tests that you're giving out. Physical ability tests, when people use tasks or exercise that require actual physical ability to perform them. Certain advantages are they can identify applicants who are physically unable to perform essential job job functions if they have something hindering them. It can reduce business costs, and it won't be influenced by the test taker's attempt to impression or manage fake responses because it is physical. You can't fake a physical interaction. Disadvantages, it's more likely to differ in results. It may be problematic for use in employee selection. It can be costly, it's time consuming, and it's difficult to administer because you might not have the right environment in an office setting for this. My new and you is I recently interviewed for Nordstrom, and I had to do a cognitive ability test. We had to choose a piece of clothing in the store, and we had to sell it to the manager, showing her how we would use different marketing and sales tools to be able to sell this piece of clothing. So that's all I have for the testing. Next is Greg, and he's going to be discussing specific examples of types of tests.
Hi everyone, as Liz said, I'm Greg. I'm going to do specific examples of tests. I have 7 that I picked out, and there are more of them. The first is the achievement test. You use achievement test to pick out the applicants who already possess a special skill or knowledge needed to perform a job, as opposed to an aptitude test, which assesses an applicant's potential to the achievement potential achievement. Test determines what the applicant already knows. Therefore, achievement tests are usually the most reliable and valid at predicting actual job performances. And what kind of test should you use? Well, that depends on what kind of job or skill you're looking for. The next is the aptitude tests, which measure general intelligence, space visualization, mathematical aptitude, verbal conceptualization, and other capabilities. You might want to consider using aptitude tests if you need to measure a person's capabilities and potential. For example, one kind of aptitude test is performing a simulation such as a manual dexterity test that requires the test taker to manipulate small parts on a test board. A successful completion of this test exercise would demonstrate the applicant's aptitude for small assembly work. Physical ability and agility test, like Lindsay said, it's a physical and ability test. It assesses an applicant's endurance strength or overall physical fitness needed to perform an actual or simulated job-related tasks. Tests in this category do not seek information concerning the existence, nature, or severity of an individual's physical or mental impairment, or information regarding an individual's physical or psychological health. They simply measure an applicant's ability to perform a task. Personality tests, like Lindsay said, personality tests were developed by psychologists and psychiatrists for use in counseling and therapy. One common used personality test in educational settings is the Myers-Briggs test. For most employers, their usefulness is limited in hiring process. Personality tests may help to establish which applicants are mature, objective, sociable, happy, and etc., but their use in making employment decisions is controversial. They are difficult to validate and considered unreliable by some. Next is the lie detector test. The lie detector test should be reserved for instances when they are absolutely needed, such as for jobs where employees have access to large amounts of money, such as a banker, or carry a gun, such as a police officer. Under the Employee Polygraph Protection Act and laws in many states, most private employers are prohibited from requesting, causing, or suggesting that job applicants or employees take a polygraph test as a condition of employment. An honesty test. Tests that purport to measure a job applicant's honesty. They are generally multiple choice or true or false. They vary greatly in quality. They are controversial. It asks if people are really honest or dishonest, or do they react to circumstances? Can honesty be measured, actually? They sometimes can be second-guessed by the applicant, meaning that they give the right answer rather than the answer that truly reflects their responses. They are not medical exams, even though they determine personality characteristics and may be offered at pre-job offer stage. And the drug test. Drug testing is a useful tool for screening applicants and is required by law for some positions. Drug testing has become more popular as drug abuse becomes a more widespread problem in the United States. Many businesses realize that drug abusing employees cost them money, and they want to reduce those costs. There are other reasons to test for drug use, such as it's a screening device, it's a defensive tool, and it may be a legal requirement. My first new and you is when I worked at Sports Authority, I did an achievement test. What they did is they sat down and asked me questions about the validity of my work knowledge of the job that I was applying for. They wanted to know how much experience I had in the background that I was going for. My next one is with Walgreens. I took an aptitude test. It was a computerized test testing my mathematical skills and other such things, and it was given to every employee that came through the door. My next one is the personality one, and that was when I worked at the AMC movie theater. That's when I was 18 years old. They made me a head usher, and what it did, it showed my knowledge and my ability to delegate authority to different people. And my Dollar General was my honesty test. It was a series of interviews with the regional and the district manager to find out how honest they thought I was, because I was the store manager of the store. And the last one I did apply to the state of New Jersey to work on the road systems, and they make you take a drug test for that. So it's something that if you go into any kind of, I don't know, employment in law or anything like that, they're going to make you take a drug test. And now Joe's going to talk about how to use the test results.
Thanks, Greg. So like he said, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to use test results. So this has to do with how the company and the employer use test results. We're going to try and see how the employer uses testing and what they can do with the different results that they get, as well as what the company can learn about the applicant. So the different test results I'm going to talk to you guys about are personality tests, cognitive ability tests, strength tests, integrity tests, drug testing tests, aptitude tests, and achievement tests. I'm going to try and discuss with you guys exactly what the company can learn and conclude from the different tests that they run. So with a personality test, the company's trying to see what the applicant, do they fit the company's needs? Do they fit the position they're trying to fill, as well as does their personality fit well with management, if not more importantly, with the everyday employees that they're going to be working with. So in a cognitive ability test, it focuses on their strengths and weaknesses in different categories. A large focus is on the categories that pertain to the job they're applying to. And like Lindsay said, this type of test can be time-consuming and, if not, stressful for the applicant. So in a strength test, this tests their physical abilities if that type of skill is needed for that job. It also measures their stamina and capabilities. Does the job that they're applying for require manual labor and physical skill? Where do they rank in the comparison to their competition, and who had the most physical strength? So in an integrity test, it ensures that the applicant is honest and that they don't act in behavior that is counterproductive to the company. These type of tests, they show dependability, trustworthiness, and reliability, and it's used over a polygraph type of test in today's workforce. With drug testing, like we all know, it prevents the hiring of workers who use illegal drugs. It can provide a safer work environment, as well as limit liability for those who might be taking drugs in the workplace. With an aptitude test, though, it determines their cognitive capacity. It's commonly used to pre-screen applicants determine how they should move forward in the hiring process.